the Mr. Potato Head thing. So some of where this has come from is that you've observed that people who are lacking one sense, so say they are deaf or blind, their brain is able to repurpose the area that would have been used for, say, the missing visual field and do something else with it. Talk a bit more about that.
Exactly. You know, it's funny because I feel like that's something that neuroscience knows, but it's always considered sort of a side property of the brain. But to my mind, that's the most important thing, or examples like that, because what it demonstrates is that although we have this textbook model of the brain, like here's visual system, and here's hearing and touch and stuff, that's just how it usually turns out. But exactly as you said, if somebody goes deaf, that part of the brain is taken over. If somebody goes blind, that part of the brain is taken over. It's a very fluid system.
So one of the things you've observed and seen is that if someone is born deaf, for example, if you give them alternative access to audio information, not through their ears, but for example on that wristband you're wearing right there, that they can actually start hearing through their wrist.
Exactly. So this is, as you know, what I spoke about in 2015 here. And at the time, I had made a vest in my lab, which had vibratory motors on it. We would capture sound and translate it into patterns of vibration on the skin. And people who are deaf could come to understand the world that way. And what we've done in the interim is, you know, we've shrunk it down to this little wristband that has vibratory motors on the inside. Essentially, we're taking the inner ear and we're just putting it on the skin. And so the audio information is captured, goes up your arm, up your spinal cord, into your brain. And because it's informationally relevant for a deaf person, you know, they see the dog's mouth doing this, they feel on the thing, and they figure out how to make those associations. Because that's what the brain's always trying to do, is make these links across the sense.
What's the experience? Do people feel that they're hearing it through their wrist or through the vest or what?
So this is the crazy part. So people on day one, they say, oh, I'm feeling something, you know, and we test them on the performance tests, and they get better and better each day. By about 4 to 6 months into it, it becomes a qualia. By which I mean, if I say, okay, look, when the dog barks, what is the experience for you? Do you feel like, oh, I felt something on my wrist? And they say, no, I just hear the dog bark.
Right.
In the same way that when I'm speaking, you don't think, oh, Eagleman's using some medium and some low and some high frequencies right now. You just think, oh, I'm hearing his mellifluous voice.
Right. I don't hear your voice here. I hear it right there,
exactly.
where it is. Yeah.
Exactly. You project it out here. It's all happening inside there. You think I'm out here, and you're just hearing sort of the high-level voiceness of it rather than the frequency.
So in a way, that is the only way for the brain to efficiently make sense of it, is to place all these things together into this sort of, what we say it anyway, is a 3D space out there with these different objects.